Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to today's biology class. Today is the sixth class of the chapter 11, Reproduction in Organisms. In the previous class, fifth class, we have described about the asexual reproduction that takes place in lower animals and the sexual reproduction that takes place in higher animals, and the external fertilization that takes place in aquatic animals and the internal fertilization in terrestrial animals. The significance of fertilization in animals to restore the chromosome number to determine the sex of the fetus, the role of reproductive hormones for expression of different male characteristics and female characteristics, and development of male and female reproductive organs, and also some hormones are related with pregnancy. And we also discussed about the development process of human embryo inside the mother's womb, and during this process and temporary organ is formed called placenta. We have also discussed about its role and its function. Today at the sixth class we will describe about what is AIDS, statistics of AIDS worldwide, how HIV virus damages the human body, invades into the human body, and route of transmission of HIV, the symptoms of HIV infection, and the treatment of HIV infected patients that is suggested by doctors. At first, here we see a virus called HIV, which is responsible for the condition AIDS. So AIDS is called a syndrome or a set of physical conditions appears in the human body due to the infection of HIV virus. This syndrome was first recognized in 1981 in USA, and the full form of AIDS is acquired immune deficiency syndrome. That means the immune system of the infected patient becomes deficient, becomes weakened, and that is actually acquired. That means the normal immune system is strong enough, but at that condition the immune system is compromised, and that is acquired. That means that is produced later on due to the infection of HIV virus, and this condition is caused by infection with human immunodeficiency virus. We have talked about it earlier. So HIV virus looks like this, and this virus has RNA genome, and it also contains reverse transcriptase enzyme, and these portions are enclosed in a capsid, and also that is again surrounded by a lipoprotein phospholipid layer that is made up of lipid and protein, and it also contains two surface proteins, GP120 and GP41, that means glycoprotein 120 and glycoprotein 41, etc. And this HIV virus contains actually three enzymes or three enzymes. Number one is reverse transcriptase, and it also contains integrase and protease. These three enzymes are essential for the proper function of HIV virus. That is a much more animated one and easy to understand. We see the glycoprotein surface proteins over the envelope, and the RNA genome here, and it contains three enzymes called integrase, protease, and reverse transcriptase. So worldwide statistics. According to the UNAIDS, at the end of 2018, the number of people infected with HIV worldwide is 37.9 million. But according to your book, according to NCTP book, the number of infected persons is more than 23 million. Your English version book has a mistake. There should be 23 million, but mistakenly it writes 2.3 million. But the accurate should be, according to the Bangla version book, it should be 23 million infected people. And among all infected persons, 40% is female, and this syndrome is present in more than 164 countries worldwide. So how the AIDS virus attacks human body? Let's see. At first, the HIV virus that selectively attacks and multiplies within a kind of WBC that is called T helper cell. So when HIV virus enters into the body, then it finds a suitable host. It finds the T helper cell, that is a kind of WBC, and HIV virus selects these WBC as its host. So here we understand that the HIV virus cannot infect other cells, but it can selectively infect the T helper white blood cell, and it goes inside it and multiplies rapidly using the mechanism of the T helper cell own. And, eventually it produces a lot of number of copies of the virus, and then bursts and comes out from the WBC by bursting the WBC or T helper cell. As a result, there is reduced formation of antibody, because we understand that the T helper cell helps in production of antibody inside human body. So when WBCs are destroyed, there is a reduced amount of antibody produced inside the body. As a result, the immune system becomes weak, and the opportunistic infections are done by other pathogenic microorganisms. When the immune system becomes compromised, at that time different bacteria and fungus can easily infect our body and can cause different diseases, for example pneumonia or bronchitis or meningitis, etc. As a result, meningitis, pneumonia, bronchitis, different type of bacterial or fungal infection take place in the body. So if we observe this animation, we can understand how HIV virus enters into the WBC cell and then rapidly multiplies in it. So here we see the HIV virus is coming, and it wants to penetrate inside the T helper white blood cell that is entering. When the surface proteins get attached, recognizes each other, then the T helper cell allows the virus to enter into it. So so the white blood cell, inside the white blood cell, the HIV virus enters, and then the capsid gets disintegrated. So the virus genome is exposed, and so we see that there is two sequence of virus genome, and there are three enzymes: integrase, protease, and reverse transcriptase enzyme. So what happens? At first, the viral RNA genome is converted into DNA by a process called reverse transcription. We know from the chapter 12 that when RNA is produced from DNA, that is called transcription. But if the opposite happens, if DNA is produced from RNA, that is called reverse transcription process. So here we see DNA is produced from the RNA, and then this DNA will enter into the nucleus and will combine with the DNA material of the host cell. That means the viral DNA will integrate with the DNA of the T helper cell, and at that time integrase enzyme will help to integrate this viral genome with the host cell's DNA. So now the integrase has done its work. So what happens then? We know that from DNA RNA is produced, and from RNA protein is produced. So as a result, the T helper cell will produce its own protein products, as well as it will also produce the virus products, that means viral proteins. So when virus proteins are produced, that means actually that is the raw material for the production of new virus copies. These viral proteins are packaged and modified by using the third enzyme called protease. So the protease enzyme remodifies the viral protein products and produces a fully functional virus body. And then when multiple copies of virus is produced, then they come out from the T helper cell by bursting the T helper cell and damaging the T helper cell. Now we will understand what are the causes, what are the route of transmission of HIV virus. If there is a physical relation of a healthy person with an HIV infected person, then this virus will transmit from the infected person to the healthy person. So by the physical relation, if any liquid from the infected person enters into the body of the healthy person, so by transmission of this liquid, HIV virus will enter into the infected person and will infect the healthy person. And so that means that also includes the blood or semen or saliva. So if blood is transfused from infected person, that will also cause HIV in a healthy person. And breastfeeding of the infected mother will also cause HIV in the healthy child. And if there is organ transplant from an infected person, and sharing use of infected syringe or needles or surgical instruments, even in the salon, hair cutting salon, if there is multiple use of an infected syringe, and if there is a small prick or small incision or cut on the body of a healthy person, then by this small cut or prick, the virus can enter into the body of the healthy person. So what are the symptoms present by HIV infection? We know that the HIV virus enters into the body of a healthy person and it can remain dormant for several years. But when they become activated, they rapidly multiply, then it produces some problems inside the body. So what happens? There might be rapid weight loss of the infected person, and there might be swelling of some organs, face and nose. Fever may be present for more than 1 month. There might be dry cough for a prolonged period of time. There may be pain in armpit and itching in the whole body, etc. So in this video, we'll understand what is the function of T helper cells and how HIV virus destroys the T helper cell, and how the immune system becomes compromised, and how the opportunistic infection takes place by other bacteria and fungus, and what is the modern treatment policies followed for the HIV infection.
HIV is the human immunodeficiency virus. If you have HIV, you have an infection that damages your immune system over time and causes AIDS. AIDS stands for Acquired Immunodeficiency Syndrome. It is the final stage of an HIV infection when your immune system is damaged and too weak to fight off ordinary infections. When foreign invaders, such as bacteria and viruses, get into your body, they can cause infections. These events activate your body's defenses. The white blood cells of your immune system are part of your body's defenses.
So here we see that our body is being constantly attacked by different bacteria and pathogenic fungus. Inside our body, as a defense system, there is a different kind of WBC present. So what is the function of this WBC? Is to attack, is to determine the pathogens and to attack and to kill this pathogenic bacteria. So there are different kind of WBC present in the immune system, and these greens are different bacteria that has entered into the body cells.
A white blood cell, called helper T lymphocytes or helper T cells, strengthen your immune system's response to infection in two ways.
Now, among different kind of WBC, there is a WBC called T helper cell, and T helper cell assists the immune system by two ways. At first,
helper T cells release chemicals that attract other white blood cells to the site of the infection.
At first, the T helper cells calls upon the WBC cells to come at the site of infection, so that this assisting WBC can kill the bacteria present in the site of infection.
These additional white blood cells cells attack the invading bacteria or virus,
So this WBC are engulfing the bacteria.
as well as other infected cells. Second, helper T cells release chemicals that cause other white blood cells to multiply.
Secondly, these T helper cells also promote the division of WBC so that other WBC can get multiplied in number, and also helps to release antibody. And antibody proteins are actually the markers that actually binds on the antigen surface or bacteria surface, and these markers actually indicates the immune system to kill on the target sites, to attack on the target sites.
These new white blood cells create markers called antibodies, which can identify the same foreign invader throughout your body. Antibodies attach to the bacteria or virus, marking them as targets for your immune system to destroy them. If you have HIV, it travels through your blood and other body fluids to infect and kill certain white blood cells. The virus enters helper T cells, which are the primary target.
So if HIV virus invades into the body, then they will primarily attack and try to penetrate into the T helper cell. So an HIV virus is penetrating into the T helper cell by matching their surface proteins, unlocking the membrane of the T helper cell and entering with it.
Once inside,
The capsid has
the virus makes many copies of itself.
and it uses the cellular mechanism of the T helper cell to produce multiple number of viruses, and numerous number of virus bodies come out from the T helper cell by bursting it.
These virus particles are made. They leave the damaged helper T cell to infect other cells.
So this copies again
T
attack.
cell loses its ability to protect the body from the
These newly produced HIV viruses then attack the other healthy T helper cells, remaining the infected T helper cell damaged by breaking it.
ongoing infection and dies. In this way, HIV spreads and kills more of your helper T cells, weakening your immune system. As a result, other types of infections are able to take advantage of your body's inability to defend itself. These infections are called opportunistic infections.
So when there is no T helper cell present inside the body, what will happen? The other opportunistic pathogens or bacteria will be happy enough, and they will come here and rapidly multiply, and there will be no WBC to resist them. As a result, infection grows inside the body.
If you have an HIV infection and one or more opportunistic infections, you have AIDS.
So here that it has been said that AIDS is a condition when there is HIV infection, and as well as there is opportunistic infections by different bacteria or fungus. This set of condition is called AIDS.
Some of the common AIDS-related opportunistic infections are inflammation of the tissues covering your brain and spinal cord called meningitis, inflammation of your brain called encephalitis, respiratory illnesses such as pneumonia and tuberculosis, intestinal illnesses such as chronic diarrhea caused by infectious parasites, and cancers such as Kaposi's sarcoma and non-Hodgkin lymphoma. Drugs called antiretrovirals can reduce the amount of HIV in your body. One class of antiretroviral medication.
So we say antiretroviral drugs are the medications used against retroviruses. We say that HIV virus is a retrovirus. Retrovirus means the viruses having RNA genome have reverse transcriptase enzyme and reversely produce DNA. So HIV is a kind of retrovirus, and against these retroviruses we use antiretroviral drugs. So antiretroviral drugs can work on different mechanisms. They have different mode of actions. For example,
called entry or fusion inhibitors.
some drugs are fusion or entry inhibitors. That means these drugs are some chemicals which attaches with the surface proteins GP120 or GP40 of the virus, HIV virus, so that they cannot further attack on the T helper cells. So when their surface proteins are blocked, they cannot attack on T helper cells. They are called fusion or entry inhibitors.
Disrupts the HIV infection process by preventing the virus from attaching to your cells. Other classes of antiretroviral medications include reverse transcriptase inhibitors.
Some drugs inhibits the function of reverse transcriptase enzyme so that a RNA virus cannot produce viral DNA from RNA. Or protease inhibitors, that means these drugs inhibits the function of protease enzyme of the virus. Or some are
Protease inhibitors.
integrase inhibitors that that inhibits the function of integrase enzyme of the HIV virus. So all of these drugs work on different mechanisms, but they have the same purpose. The purpose is to inhibit the formation, the production or attack of HIV virus.
These drugs prevent the creation, assembly, and spread of new viruses. Your doctor may prescribe a combination of these drug classes known as highly active antiretroviral therapy, or HART.
And when multiple number of antiretroviral drugs are used combinedly, this therapy is called highly active antiretroviral therapy, or HART.
Antiretroviral medication doesn't completely remove HIV from your body, but slows it down enough to enable your immune system to fight infections. Regular blood tests will let your doctor know how effective your antiretroviral medication is in controlling HIV.
So when antiretroviral drugs are applied properly and works properly, the amount of HIV virus particles in the blood remains at low level, so that the person can live apparently healthy lifestyle.
The number of helper T cells is high enough in your blood sample, your medication is working. Treatments.
So when HIV virus can be suppressed, then there will be normal amount of T helper cells into the blood, so the immune system will remain strong. And what to do to destroy the opportunistic pathogens? Doctors suggest different antibiotics to destroy these opportunistic pathogens. So they are the antibiotic drugs.
The opportunistic infections of AIDS are medications specific for each type of infection. For example, your doctor may prescribe antibiotics if you have pneumonia or tuberculosis.
Okay, so the treatment of HIV virus ends here. So in this class, what we have learned today, let's revise. We learned what is AIDS. We know that AIDS is a syndrome or a set of condition in human body when the immune system becomes weaker. It is called acquired because the innate or original immune system is become compromised or changed when the body have an infection with HIV. That means that is a later condition, not the original condition. And we have also known the statistics of AIDS worldwide. It has prevailed over 164 countries, and about 23 million people are infected worldwide, and 40% among them are women. And how HIV virus damages human body? We know that HIV virus infects in a kind of WBC called T helper cell. So when T helper cells are destroyed, the immune system becomes weakened, so that opportunistic infections are taken place by different bacteria or fungus, and the person dies and suffers and dies eventually from these opportunistic infections like meningitis or pneumonia, etc. We also discussed about the route of transmission of HIV virus. HIV virus can be transmitted to a healthy person by different ways. At first, if any kind of liquid material is transferred from the infected person to a healthy person, then HIV virus will spread, enter into the healthy person's body. And symptoms of HIV infection is numerous: rapid weight loss, or dry cough for a prolonged period of time, or a fever for a prolonged period of time, or pain in armpit, etc. There are many symptoms of HIV infection. Actually, HIV virus doesn't show symptoms for several years, but after several years of infection, it starts its activity intensely, and the symptoms starts to express. And we have also discussed about treatment of HIV infected patients. Our doctors prescribe antiretroviral combination of antiretroviral drugs called HAART, and they also combined the use of different antibiotic medications. So at the end of this lesson, you have a homework: draw a label figure of HIV virus. And if there is any question remaining, let me know. সবাই ভালো থেকো ইনশাআল্লাহ। আসসালামু আলাইকুম।